self-aware.
Hello. All right. Parshas Korach. Parshas Korach has to be taken. The lessons have to be learned in the context in which it occurs. We were talking about how the book of Bamidbar is an incredibly important, perhaps one can even make an argument, the most important section in the instruction manual of eternity, the eternal instruction manual of life known as the Torah. In it, you have a particular period of history that gets zeroed in on as the primary narrative for this instruction manual of life, and that is the 40 years that the Jewish people are walking through the desert, which, as we said, is a very surprising period in history to pick, because most of the mitzvahs cannot be done. The Jewish people are not in Israel. They do not have a king. They do not have the Beit HaMikdash, etc. They're in a transitionary state with a temporary structure and living a life that none of us will emulate ever. None of us are going to have manna falling from the heavens and surrounded by clouds of glory and water coming from a rock. So there's like, how is this the period that seems to be so distant from a kind of an intuitive parallel to our lives, that we should use this period to be the takeaway conversation? And yet the Torah does, and for the most part, the trials and the lessons of the Jewish people in the desert are in this book of Bamidbar. When it says, "You have tested me 10 times," most of those 10 tests are tests that occur in these Torah portions, and it's really these moments, one after the other, that give the Jewish people of the desert their reputation, their dispositive reputation as a nation of complainers and whiners and rebellious, etc., etc. We had it 2 weeks ago. It says, Moshe, we're missing the barbecue, right? We want the barbecue. We want the barbecue and the cucumber salad that we were getting for free in Egypt, right? Picked a weird set of ingredients there, right? They said that we really were enjoying the cucumbers and the watermelon, right? And the bread and the meat, right? As the stuff they had. And then so God says,
that's healthy.
Right. Apparently they were all sitting there and they were all on the paleo diet, or whatever it is. But the bottom line is then, and God like drops a line that as parents we've all used one. I'll give you so much, it's going to be coming out of your nose. I'm going to give you so much of this, right? Then the next thing they're complaining, oh, we can't go into the land, it's going to be such a disaster. We're going to the land, the land for the giants in it, and these fruits are too big and too miserable. Now they're complaining that now there's a rebellion, all-out rebellion against Moshe Rabbeinu. There's just going to be a series of a whole bunch of things. So you could turn around and say, what kind of terrible malcontents do we have in this generation? Right, and you would feel to a certain degree vindicated in this, because didn't God himself say this about this generation, right? That this is a generation that is so bad that they cannot be the generation to go into the land of Israel. We're going to have to expunge them. We're hitting reset on this generation, and they're going to be relegated to the dustbin of history, right? No, actually, there is no generation that is so much a part of the eternal record as this generation. This is the generation that gets highlighted forever and ever and ever. Year in, year out, we are reading about this generation and their moments, right? These are not relegated to the dustbin of history. This generation is the most famous generation ever, right? Which is surprising.
Give or take a few individuals.
What?
Give or take a few individuals.
Right.
On Ben Pellet.
Yeah.
Well, even on Ben Pellet.
He had a good wife.
You know his name. I know his name. We all know his name. Quite a famous guy, right? Korach. Oh, you're saying the opposite, that he is somebody that we do remember. I'm saying this whole generation gets remembered at the same time that we would think that this, when God basically said, you're the generation not going into the land and whatever it is, you would think that basically we're saying good riddance to this generation. You guys are not worthy of any, you're not a noteworthy generation. Oh, really? This is the generation that we don't stop talking about. Year
Because
after
there's
year
so
after
many
year, we
lessons
spend
to be learned.
but it's not only about their failures. It's not. We're not just saying take a good look at this generation and everything they did. Do the opposite.
Well, there's so
It's
many
not
lessons about human nature.
Exactly.
It's this generation, as we call it. The Torah calls this the Dor Dea. This is an amazing generation, really an amazing generation. The generation doesn't get
Korach
enough
is
credit.
amazing.
Yes. Well, Korach is yeah. Well, let's get to him. But either way, the point is that you have, as we talked about last week, you have here the generation that had to do it all first. They had to be the first ones to do whatever they were doing. It's very hard to get it right the first time.
You mean
Now, as an accomplished
since they were in slavery, not first
first
since they're in
period,
their land.
first generation that had to be the Jews. They were
Sure.
the first generation of Jews. And whatever it means to be a Jew, they had to do it first.
Sure.
So I now, as an accomplished two-wheel bike rider, can look and scoff at my 7-year-old self, or however old I was when I first wobbling there and falling off my bike and say, "Oh, what a loser!" Right? Couldn't even get on the bike and just falling over left and right and whatever it is. No, those were some of my bravest moments, right? And the moments when a toddler learns to walk, etc. The fact that you eventually get more adept at something doesn't mean that you're so much better than the person than who you were or what you or braver or smarter or whatever it is than when you were trying to figure it out for the first time. One can make an argument that the way you were when you were trying to figure it out for the first time, that was you at your best, as it were. You're most brave, you're most accomplished in this. Your greatest period of growth happened when you went from not knowing how to do this at all to learning how to do it. This generation taught our generation, all subsequent generations. They wrote the script. Now, it happened in fits and starts and it happened with successes and failures. But this generation gets eternalized as the generation that had to figure out this whole thing. And what is this whole thing? They had to figure out how to be partners with God in creation. Think about that. Partners with God. Nasu shutfim im HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'maaseh bereshit.
Where's that from?
That is, it's a quote the Talmud uses.
Partnership is my favorite topic in Judaism.
But that's what it is. It's a partnership. It's just servitude. Because had it been just servitude, as we pointed out over Shabbos, this past Shabbos, and something we talked about, we brushed up against this last week, but we didn't give it enough focus. Why could the generation that was brave enough to follow God into a desert and follow God into a sea all of a sudden crumble when they had to go into a land with some big people and big fruit? How does that cognitively make sense? How they were brave enough to walk into a sea resolutely. How were they not ready to walk into land, etc.? And we pointed out, as in the last week's lesson and over Shabbos, and we'll mention it again because to a certain degree that tees up this moment, that they were more than happy to be servants. And they were more than happy to be students. And they were more than happy to be followers. So when God said, Lech teich acharai bamidbar, follow me into the desert, they said, by all means, God, lead the way and we will follow. With belief and with faith and with trust and with bravery, we will follow you into the desert. We will follow you into a sea. We will follow you to Mount Sinai. And we will follow you into the land of Israel. Because they knew they were all walking towards the land of Israel. What changed all of a sudden with the spies? God says, stop following, start leading. Now I need partners. I don't need servants and slaves and students. I need partners. I need people that will take an initiative, will take responsibility. And that the people said, God, we trust you, but we don't trust us. And if you're asking us to trust us, we're not there. We're not ready. We're not up to that challenge. A false sense of humility, which is very common. It honestly is usually the biggest, the biggest obstacle. As long as you have that leader, most people are ready to follow, even into something that they would consider crazy, right? You need that one person, right, to go. And then people are generally comfortable to follow, or else they want to stay. If there's not going to be any leader, then we're comfortable in the status quo. Whatever the status quo is, wherever we are, wherever that's where you want us to foray into someplace new. Give us the leader. Who's going to do it for us? And last week's parsha was a very strong admonishment to them about the fact that if Hashem has chosen you, then He has chosen you not as a follower, but as a leader. Atav v'chatanu mikol ha'amin, right? Anochi Hashem Elokecha, asher hotzeiticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim. I've pulled you out of that paradigm of mibeit avadim. And I'm talking to you individually, Chaim Yankel. Asher hotzeiticha. Not just the prince of your tribe, not just Moshe Rabbeinu, you. And you know what? Moshe also struggled with this. What were the first words that Moshe said when God said, "You're the man"?
Not me. I can't do it.
Send it in the person who's best suited for this. And God says, hello.
I got him.
Yeah, you. Me. I can't speak. I can't. Yeah. And God says, "Me sam pelada." Why? I said a partner. You're not doing this alone. I'm giving you the wherewithal to do it. Now go on and do it. So that was where we left off last week's talk. Korach sees his moment. Sees, Seize, both. He sees and seizes his moment.
Yeah.
Why? Because Korach is of, you know what is the hardest, most frustrating position to be? Is the third cousin
You
once
got the
removed.
title, but you don't got the power.
Right. The third cousin once removed to the
Yep.
king, right?
Yep.
Right. I always thought, you see the pictures of, Duchess, Penelope from from the Duchess of West Haven, sitting there all the way on the end of the pictures of all the royals, yeah, yay. It's like, who are you again? Exactly. At that point, it's like, let me just sit in the crowd and enjoy myself, right? And not be this close to actual real importance, but not be important. Korach's got to live in that spot, right? He's living in that spot, just this close to being important, but not really important. And for most people, who cares? I'm here to serve God. I'm here to da. Korach is that guy who's not. He's not satisfied with it. The truth of the matter is, up until this point, a smart guy like Korach had no window of opportunity to make a play.
To make what?
to make a play,
Ah,
to make his move, as it were.
I gotcha.
How? Moshe is holding a staff that splits seas, that brings down plagues on the Egyptians, right? God, he brought down the tablets, the clouds of glory, and the tent of the meeting. Everything is, and so it's grinding on him, and it's grating on him. But what can he do? What can he do? And then, wouldn't you know it, Moshe serves up the moment on a silver platter. Moshe himself kicks the door wide open for Korach to step in and seize an opportunity. And what is the opportunity? The opportunity is that,
You have to
why
wait
are
to
you
say that.
following me? Moshe says, right? Be a leader. Be leaders, right? This is your moment. Stop it. Stop being followers and start being leaders. And Korach says, bingo. I've been waiting for this since the get-go. To which he comes to Moshe. And what does he say to Moshe? He says to Moshe, I have a halachic question for you. Does this very smart, right? And he says, if you have, we were told that we have to have this string of techelet, right? 7 of the strings are white. The 8th string on the tzitzit is techelet. What happens if I have an entire garment? The entire garment of the tzitzit is techelet. Do I need then that special string to be techelet? Moshe says, absolutely. And it says, and he scoffs. He says, ha, ha, ha. Right? And then he comes by the next day and he says, Moshe, if I have an entire room full of holy books, do I need that scroll on the wall called the mezuzah? Moshe says, absolutely. Ha ha! Doesn't just say that he ridicules. It says he scoffs.
What word in Hebrew?
Loig. What that means is it's not just that what you're saying is ludicrous. It's not I deny the validity of what you're saying. I say that what you're saying is nefarious, says Korach. You have outed yourself, Moshe, as an elitist. Why? Why did he pick these two things? What is the common denominator between these seemingly random halachic queries? He's turning to Moshe and he's saying like this. What is a garment? A garment's a whole bunch of strings, right? Interwoven, right?
Sure.
So I have hundreds and hundreds of strings and they're all blue. So did I not fulfill an obligation of having, if I need blue strings, I've got hundreds of them. Do we really need one special blue string? I've got hundreds of blue strings. Do we really need one string to stand out and be a special blue string?
Mm-hmm. That's the leader.
And Moshe says, yes, you do. And Korach says, see? Then he comes the next day and he says, I have a room full of books. What were books back in the day? Books bound like we have them? Scrolls.
Yeah.
I have a room full of holy scrolls.
What do I need?
Do I need one scroll to be in this special position, standing apart from all the rest of the scrolls? Am I obligated to have this elitist scroll, this elite scroll? And Moshe says, yes. See, guys? See? Do you see the trend here? Moshe is an elitist. He takes the best position for himself. And then when he needs another position, who does he give it to?
His brother.
To his brother. Do you not see the pattern here, people?
That was a Nepo move.
God wants to give it to all of us. He wants us all to be leaders. And Moshe insists that he should be the leader. So this is his chance. This is why, to a certain degree, what is Moshe's response? V'nachnu ma. He's actually addressing the underlying challenge of Korach. We want nothing. Me and Aaron, etc., etc. Who are we? We are fulfilling God's mission for us just as much as each and every one of us has a mission and a role to play. We're not doing any more or any less than what God is asking of us, with a sense of ultimate bittul, right? This is where we have that quote that we mentioned, the Va'ish Moshe Anav Ma'od Mikol Adam. Well, no, that comes later, but or earlier, right? But that Moshe was the most humble person. Moshe never made a decision that was with his own power and prestige in mind. Rather, every single question, every single moment was, what does God need from me right now? And he is truly perplexed. It says him and Aaron literally fall on their faces. They are so perplexed. They can't fathom that A, people would think along these lines, B, think that they think along these lines. What are we, me and Aaron, doing other than what God has asked of us? You think we want this? In fact, Moshe very clearly said last week and the week before, right? We don't want this. And the only reason I'm doing it is because Hashem insists. And when Hashem insists, the answer is aye, Captain. I'm looking for this. Right?
What do I need this for?
What do I need this for? Right? So, but the thing is, so Paula, he's actually addressing the underlying true impetus of Korach.
Exactly.
But Korach doesn't couch it that way. And the one thing that it doesn't seem that Moshe answered is the question that Korach is actually publicly asking. He's getting to the nub of the matter. He says, Korach, you're not really concerned about dispersing power. You're
Right.
wondering why us and not you.
Right. Hidden agenda.
But that's your agenda, and that's the one I'm going to address.
Right.
Having said that, why,
Right.
in fact, is Korach philosophically incorrect?
Incorrect or correct?
No, incorrect. Why is he philosophically incorrect? If last week God was demanding of the people, in other words, he saw his opportunity and he took it, right? And he managed to actually coax a decent amount of people to say, hey, yeah, why not? Right? Including 250 elders. So, and interestingly, Moshe doesn't really address that question. He addresses the underlying thing. Korach, really, this is you coming after me and Aaron. Let's call a spade. Let's address that, and let's have the showdown. And what will happen will happen. But Korach is making a point. If we're all expected to be leaders, and in fact, Kulan Kadoshim, and in fact, we are not meant to stay in the desert and study Torah all day, which that would clearly define the hierarchy. Moshe's the one, Moshe Rabbeinu, nobody can deny that. But if in fact the role is that we are going to go into the land, and our role is to do Torah mitzvos, right, and to make and to engage this world, why in fact then do we need to have that special scroll on the wall? Why, if we can make all the strings blue, then why must there be the special string? Why must there be the special scroll? All the scrolls in the room are holy. Why, in fact, philosophically, why is Korach incorrect? If you want all of us to be leaders, and we should all be leaders, then why do
Yeah,
we
but
need to be leaders?
didn't he say, why can't I be a leader? No.
As we said, again, the fact, Moshe says, you know why Korach, you're not the guy? Because God never made you the guy. God made us the guys. And we're not doing it because, haha, pat ourselves on the back, but understand that your rebellion is not against me, it's about Hashem. I didn't pick me, I didn't pick Aaron, God did. So
But if you-
fundamentally, your underlying issue, why us, not you, go take it up with God. In fact, that's who's going to be the arbiter. That's going to be who's the judge of this. So Moshe takes on Korach's real issue, but he doesn't seemingly address as much the couching, the philosophical argument that Korach is making.
So if you've got a room full of rebbeim, and one is more brilliant than the next, they are Talmidei Chachamim, they still need a guide. They still need a leader. The need.
So Korach is, but you see, you have to remember what Korach was waiting for. That he's not arguing. If the entire point was to become more and better versed in Torah, etc., I know I need the Rosh Yeshiva, but why do I need a Rebbe?
Meaning
a
a
difference
spiritual guide instead of the halachic. What does that
somebody
mean?
who teaches, right? If I will light Shabbos candles just as good as you will light Shabbos candles. Moshe, you don't light Shabbos candles any better than I light Shabbos candles. You don't wrap tefillin any better than I wrap tefillin. A mitzvah is a mitzvah is a mitzvah. It's any more of a mitzvah because you did it than I did it.
But Moshe's emuna is so much more pure, exemplary, teacher-like. This is what you want to emulate.
That's the answer.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the thing is like this. Last week's parsha made it seem, or you can be mistakenly walking away from last week's parsha, which says that we truly don't need one singular leader if we're all expected to be leaders and not followers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right? We should then each be going out and doing as we see fit. God is entrusting each and every one of us to go out. Now, one of the things we all have to do is make sure we're properly educated. Somebody's always going to know more than me, right? So I should always go and learn and study, but whatever it is. But my relationship with God should be my relationship with God, right? And if I want to strum a guitar and whatever it is, why do I need idea of, as somebody once came and said to the previous Rebbe, why do I need a Rebbe? I know I need a Rosh Yeshiva, but why do I need a Rebbe? It's my soul.
I see.
A Rosh Yeshiva will teach me that which I don't know. If you're the smartest man in the room, I need to come to you to learn that which I don't know. But if it's my soul, why am I coming to you about my soul? Why am I coming to you about my soul? To which the previous Rebbe responded, and he answered the question with a question, because that's what we Jews do. And he says, tell me, when you become physically ill, what do?
Seek out a
You go to a
doctor?
doctor. You go see a doctor. Wait a minute, why would you go see the doctor? Whose body is it? It's the doctor's body, it's your body. It's your body. You're the one who's feeling the pain. You're the one who spent all these years with your body. So why are you going to that guy? Because that guy has studied whatever it is, he's now far more in tune with the body than I am. He knows the body